The Clean Power Hour is brought to you by Continental Energy Solutions. I'm Tim Montague, your co-host. Today on the Clean Power Hour, John answers all your important questions about HGAT, TopCon, and PERC. Oh yeah. Meyer Burger launched their hot off the presses ultra low degradation, high performance solar modules, and we were there. You should check that out. And the land impacts of 100% wind and solar are, yeah, I'm going to say it, totally trivial. Welcome to the show, my co-host and the commercial solar guy, John Weaver.
Good afternoon, Tim. It's springtime. The year's moving along, and the solar world is busy. I hope you're keeping up with it.
I'm looking forward to talking more about high performance solar and our experience with the CEO of Meyer Burger last week. But I have something on my mind about space. You know, the Chinese are in the process of building a space station to rival the ISS. And the ISS is now, I think, more than 20 years old. It's an aging machine and needs to be refreshed and augmented. So anyway, the Chinese have become a spacefaring country, and they're doing it. But what this has brought up for some, like the Angry Astronaut is one of the podcasters and YouTubers that I follow. If you don't know the Angry Astronaut, check him out. He does a lot of SpaceX videos, great animations, and very intelligent commentary. But what I think about space, John, is that it's a great opportunity for humanity to come together and transcend our tribalism. For millions of years, or hundreds of thousands of years at least, right? We were our own worst enemy, and rightfully so, right? We are staunch competitors with other humans, and it got us where we are today. It drove us to evolve and to develop new and better technology and to migrate, and many good things came of that. But now I see the world as in a new phase, right? We clearly dominate the environment. We've transformed the atmosphere. It's now become an existential threat with climate chaos. And we need to come together. And one way to do that is going to space, because it's such a massive initiative. It costs so much money that I think that it has to be a multicultural experience, and we have to spread the cost across many different countries. So I think it's actually, but I think it's a savior for the species. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, it could be the savior for the species. Everything I've read says we got like a million years or so before it starts to heat up a little bit more on the planet and things start to change. And then, of course, we know that giant rocks fly through space and just crash and collide with things. There's supernovas, all kinds of stuff. So, at a minimum, when people say, "Hey, we should fix things here on Earth first," well, my first response to that is, no, we're never going to fix everything ever perfectly. That's just not how it works. Life is never perfect when you move forward. And if the first humans, if the first Africans said, "Hey, it's not nice enough here yet in the Great Rift Valley. I'm not sure if I want to leave," we'd still be living in the mountains or in the Serengeti. There wouldn't be a huge global species of us. You just got to go forward, and we're never going to fix Earth perfectly to everybody's standards. In fact, we're probably going to go much more aggressively toward mechanizing this planet's surface than many are comfortable with. I'd prefer to see giant reserves and all manufacturing and mining and everything in space, and maybe more flying vehicles and underground trails so we can leave the surface open for animals and plants to regulate our atmosphere a little better. We just got to go for it.
You found this funny picture of the Chinese space station. It looks like it's something out of a sci-fi cartoon. Is this actually what the space station looks like?
I think that's actually a screenshot of Chinese television. I think, yeah, I think that's real. And it's just their coloring on TV is a little different, how they tonal stuff. But yeah, I mean, that's it. That's the beginning of a space station. It's a beer can that costs like $2 billion or 10 billion or whatever it costs.
Yeah.
I think we got to go. We got to go. We got to attack.
The Angry Astronaut is angry about this because the Chinese are launching unreusable rockets, and some of the flotsam from their launches could potentially come down in the wrong place. But anyway, I think it's a good thing, basically, that, multiple countries get into space. I think that we just have to be careful about not going head to head and having a space war, which is something that, you know, Ronald Reagan and George Bush, I think, wanted to have. And I don't think that's a good thing. I don't think that ends well. And, but, with Elon's mission to become a spacefaring species and establish a permanent colony on Mars, and that truly is his life's goal, I think that is a worthy goal to have a backup, because the asteroid will eventually hit Earth and knock us cold. And in the meantime, the effort that it'll take to get to Mars, I mean, we're struggling to get to the moon, much less Mars, but the effort to get to Mars is colossal. And as Elon said recently, many people are going to die going to Mars. But that's the nature of exploration, right? Many people died coming to North America. And in the town where you live, right? Some huge percentage of whaling ships that left port to go catch whales, which was gold, they never came back. Some huge percentage. I don't know what that is. It's something like 30%, though.
Wow,
It's
that is a big
crazy.
number.
It was crazy risky to hunt whales, right? And yet men did it, because if you succeeded, you got rich.
This was the richest city on Earth for a little while, on a per capita basis or something. I mean, it was. So I get it. Take that trip, run out there, go crazy. Yeah, and I think we need to push. I think we need to go at it, and we're never going to stop. So that's just it. That's just the nature of us. It's good that we still have exploratory genetics in us. It makes me happy, because if we don't, we're going to calmly go extinct in a very efficient manner instead of inefficiently exploring outward. And we're going forward. The precipice has been crossed, and we're going. So not stopping.
So what happened last week on the Clean Power Hour anyway? There's this video out there that's been blowing up with you and me and two executives from Meyer Burger. What was that?
We got to see a new solar panel series get launched by Meyer Burger from their Swiss and South German manufacturing facilities. And it was a pretty cool panel. It's a heterojunction. It's upper 20% efficiency range, and it's got some really cool traits. Highly renewable energy powered, and very traceable hardware as well. And here's the key one: it's a solar panel made by the company that makes solar panel machines. So it's not just a company taking machines and making a solar panel. It's a company that makes the machines that makes the solar panel. And for me, that's what's most interesting. It's like buying a car from Elon versus, say, Ford. Ford's going to make a nice car. They'll make that Mach-E, and it's going to be neat. And, people are going to enjoy it. However, I want to fund the research facility. When I buy stuff, it's just not about looking pretty. It's about buying something smart. And so for me, this Meyer Burger product represents that chance. It's a cool solar panel, great for residential at this point. And I like that you have this specific slide open, because it is going to be the next technology, and it's going to take us really far in terms of panel efficiency. And really, really interested in how this product moves forward. I'm a big fan of heterojunction, and I think heterojunction silicon plus perovskite will hit very soon, possibly super late in the year, probably next year early, and that's going to be real interesting.
So if you just Google Meyer Burger, MEYER Burger, just like burger, and financials, then you'll find this slide deck. This is their public slide deck, but they have a nice graph here showing how module performance with HJT or heterojunction technology, is that what the T is for?
Heterojunction. No,
Yeah.
just heterojunction. I don't know what the
Oh.
technology. Nah, it could be. They do say smart wire technology.
And versus PERC. And Meyer Burger was an innovator in the PERC space. Together with others, they rightfully credit Sanyo and
Solar World.
Yeah, there's others though.
Sanyo was first.
What's a big one that Elon collaborates with?
Panasonic?
Yeah, Panasonic. They call it a hit, right?
Yes. And it was Sanyo to Panasonic. Really, Panasonic bought the Sanyo tech. The tech started at Australian universities, Heterojunction, and moved forward. And so now this is, and the Sanyo product, the Sanyo Panasonic product, I don't believe is available in the market anymore. So you literally, I don't think you can buy a newly manufactured Heterojunction or hit product from them anymore. The only other place you can get it is from REC Solar, REC Group, located in Singapore. And they have their Alpha Series, and their Alpha Series is based on Meyer Burger's manufacturing line. So that cell equipment manufacturing gear up at the top, that's what other people are using to make these panels. That's why I like Meyer Burger, because they're using their own machines. I just like that concept. We're going to get more iterations of the manufacturing equipment.
Yeah, I think there's some solar manufacturers who are crying in their soup today because yesterday they were buying Meyer Burger's technology, and tomorrow they can no longer do that because Meyer Burger is going to be very restrictive about who they sell to, I think. But this slide says it all, right? They were making these big, massive machines. It's screen printing technology, etc. But they're going to 15x their revenue basically, right, by getting into solar panel manufacturing. So it makes a lot of sense that they're doing this. And it's not rocket science to understand the economics of that. But this is an ultra low carbon, ultra low degradation. That was the other cool thing that emerged in the interview, is that the degradation over 20 or 30 years, I can't remember which, is 6%, which
That
is
was for one specific panel. That was the glass on glass version. So the best version, the glass on glass bifacial, had less than 1%, almost no degradation in the first year, and then 0.2% per year. So at the end of 30 years, it was 93.2% or greater was the power production warranty. So it's like, wow, 30 years, not even 20, 25, where it used to be 80 and 85% after a third less time. Now it's, I mean, glass on glass bifacial. The United States via NREL and I think a university in Colorado is researching whether or not glass on glass can be a 50-year warranted product. And we're seeing hints of it with this panel. So it's really, really kind of neat to see it. Heterojunction, so there's PERC, which is the dominant product right now. There's TopCon, which we may talk about LONGi setting a new record at 25% for a solar cell. TopCon is like the leading, most efficient product. What's going to come after TopCon will be PERC, or will be Heterojunction in terms of taking over the efficiency crown. And TopCon and PERC, super similar, except you put one extra layer of product on a PERC cell, and you turn it into a TopCon cell. And they're very similar, cheap and slight upgrade. And this is why right now, we may get to it, but the most efficient TopCon cell on the market is much higher than the most efficient Heterojunction cell on the market, because that cell from Meyer Burger, 21.7% panel, maybe it's a 23% cell, somewhere in that range. It's not a 25% cell. So right now, it's not the leading efficiency product, but it has the most upside as it begins to transfer into a perovskite plus silicon. So it's we got lots of good products. I mean, we're going to have 23% panels before we get to Heterojunction. TopCon will, Yingli, I think, or Jinko already tested a 23% TopCon solar panel. So this this cell from Longi that we might talk about, it'll get even higher. And heterojunction is going to have to fight through that. So it'll take a year or 2 or 5 before heterojunction is fully more efficient than the most efficient TopCon or whatever product in the market. But it's going to take over when it does.
So what does the relationship between REC and Meyer Burger change though? Because they have had a partnership historically, and REC makes super high quality solar modules. But are they going to continue to be able to buy the machinery from Meyer Burger?
Well, at first, I don't know anything because I'm not internal, but it was suggested by one party that that relationship would end. And then I guess REC can buy heterojunction equipment from other manufacturers, because there are other manufacturers making heterojunction. But also it could be that REC might be considered close enough and might be a tight enough relationship that they're not worried about it, about the theft, because that's really what it is. This is about IP theft, because their diamond wire blades were stolen. And they just got rid of it. Their PERC machine designs were stolen, so they got out of it. So this is about making sure that what they're doing is, financially logical. Right here. This is a big slide. Big fan of this slide right here. The technology level 3 is really what we want to see. And that's what's coming next. And they say 2023. That's interesting. That's a module. Look at that. That's a module at 27.8%, 29% in 4 or 5 years. That's not even a cell. That's a cell at 30%. And when I speak to Oxford PV, which you see in the third box down there on the right, that's what you're seeing in the yellow. That's Oxford PV's technology right there.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned Oxford. So Meyer Burger is invested in Oxford, which is a startup that's making this hybrid technology. That's what I call it anyway. What is the official name for this?
You call it perovskite silicon multi-junction tandem.
Okay. Somebody needs to acronymize that. Acronymize.
Sure. Acronymize.
That is a tongue twister. So watch out for Oxford PV. There is an American competitor too, and I can't remember their name, but they are poo-pooing what Oxford's up to. They're doing thin film perovskite. I don't know if they're doing this. It's a different approach. You and I have chatted about it.
Roll to roll. It's called roll to roll.
Yeah.
Printing. And NREL, so I've been to NREL's office in Golden, Colorado, and in there they have a lot of very roll to roll strong proponent people, because we can print perovskite like an ink. And I saw a guy do a mix it up and then pour it and then stick things into it. And it was a solar cell at like 15%, just like that. Like it was like he spilled ketchup on the table, stuck some things in it, bam, solar cell. And so their goal is to make it so you can print it like newspaper, so that you can just slap this stuff up everywhere, side of the building, on your car, on your house, whatever, just super glue it to the top of a carport. And perovskite material is so cheap and so readily available. There are those who think the standard rigid solar panel of the future that we have today is going to significantly evolve. And the roll to roll stuff, I mean, they got something. Somebody's got to deploy a product that we can use, and we got to start testing some iterations. And maybe, I mean, they got some real volume goals with this roll to roll perovskite tech, and somebody's going to test it hard. I mean, it's getting tested hard right now. I don't know. I'm super fanboy of Meyer Burger and Oxford PV, and I'm so used to doing the things the way we do it today that it's hard for me to imagine difference sometimes. And I just wonder what the format of these roll-to-roll prints going to be, how we're going to lay them out, how we're going to deploy them in massive amounts, and I don't know. They're working on it though, and that's an interesting tech. At minimum, we are going to have. I mean, real soon, if we listen to Oxford PV, that's 2 years, and they're saying a 27% panel.
Yeah. The company I was thinking of is EMC, Electro Materials Corporation.
Mm-hmm.
And so they have formed a collaboration with Kodak, Corning. They list NREL and several others. But, of course, Kodak and film technology, there could be something to that. It might be a saving grace for Kodak, right? Because they're on life support. The company that invented the digital photo and then buried it and missed the digital revolution. Oh boy, that was a painful business faux pas. We should move
I'm sure
on.
they cry. I'm sure there's people crying every day.
You found an artificial blowhole.
Actually, no, I did not find it, Timothy. One of our readers, one of our watchers and listeners.
There's a blowhole.
Well, that's not the specific technology. There we go. Here it is. Check it out.
They're mimicking nature, right? They're mimicking the blowhole effect.
And so on Twitter, a gentleman reached out to me, and he said, "Hey, John, I was watching your show, and Tim's pushback on ocean wave is sound. This company agrees with him, and they're going to show that all the work is done above water, and there's no moving parts other than that turbine that's above water."
Mm-hmm.
And it just goes zing, zing. It's like, those little things you go, boom, 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 the little candy thing. That reminds me of this thing. It just goes in and out, in and out. And it just, you put a batch of them near the coast, and maybe you could build them, on as like a reef system surrounding an island, and maybe get some more fish living there. I don't know, but I just thought it was neat. It looks really expensive, but I don't know. It just looks cool. It was a neat little technology, and I like that one of our readers or one of our listeners pointed it out, because it's nice that we have some people paying attention. Tim, how do you like that?
Took us a little while. It took us 44 episodes, but hey, I'll take it. Okay, well, we have some really good news, and we need good news. There's a lot of challenging news in the news.
Yeah.
A lot of people sick with COVID. Luckily, the United States has kind of put the worst of it behind us, it looks like. Unfortunately, India is taking it on the chin right now. But Carbon Tracker has issued a report that the sky's the limit. Solar and wind energy potential is 100 times as much as global energy demand. Now, you and I, we've known this for a long time, right? And this is sound science. But the experts have to reiterate this periodically, right, to beat down the naysayers who just don't get it, that the energy transition is real, it's economic, it's viable, and it's going to save our butts and create lots of jobs in the process. But the long and short of this is that solar and wind potential is far higher than that of fossil fuels and can meet global energy demand many times over, unlocking huge benefits for society. And before you go to this place of, well, it only works if you put lots of subsidies into it. 6% of our GDP globally goes into fossil technology, John. And that is a lot of resources. So we can afford to put some subsidies into wind and solar. And what were you thinking?
6%. There's like 75, $80 trillion a year in our economy. And if we think 6%, we're talking $4 to $5 trillion. That's a lot of money. I think if we do like 2 to 3 trillion for energy, we can make all of our electrician emission free. I think it's a few trillion. Maybe that number's a little short, but it really tells me, and I actually shared a tweet really way down. But we have $100 trillion in pension funds around the world. And that's a lot. We got plenty of cash, plenty of money. The question is about pushing. Like you said, with the space flight thing, we got to have some kind of group motivation to work at this. You know, you look at that chart about the land from Carbon Brief, we got plenty of space, plenty of ocean space, plenty of land. You know, I read something that says, you know how we like that one cool stat that says in 1 minute, you get enough energy to feed the earth for a year, or something like that. Or maybe 1 hour, 1 minute is for, you know, for something, whatever, 1 hour is for the whole year, however it works. Well, there's another stat, 3-4 weeks, maybe 2 months is greater than all the fossils, all the nuclear, all the hydro, well, not hydro, all the fossils and all the nuclear that we've ever found. 3 weeks of sunlight.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah, the nice way to put it, I think, is in 1 hour, we get enough energy from the sun to power society for an entire year. You know, there's 8760 hours in a year. We're getting 10,000 times more power from the sun than we need. And this demonstrates it in graphical format. Okay. The worst case scenario here is you live in Japan where you need 7.5% of the land area for solar. Okay. That's as bad as it gets. We already have 6% in buildings and roads. So if you think 7% is bad, well, then you hate life, because that's the world we live in. And then Europe is down around 3.5%. China's at 1.5%. North America is at less than 1%. If you consider all of North America. Now here in the United States and Canada, of course, it's a little higher. It's 3 to 5%. But we're just swimming. We're swimming in energy. And now that the technology is affordable, there's no stopping the energy transition. It's going to happen, like it or not. But I wanted to say that Bill McKibben also penned a nice article about this report in the New Yorker. So if you want the light version, go to this. New Yorker, publicly available. I'll put a link in the show notes. Renewable energy is suddenly startlingly cheap. There's another tongue twister for you. And, you know, Bill, of course, is famous for starting 350.org. And I'm famous for chiding him to remember that 350 is the goal. Okay, not 400. We're over 400 now. We got to focus on getting back, which is why the X Prize that Elon Musk started is so important, right? We have to invent machines to suck carbon out. We need a vacuum cleaner. I'm guessing microorganisms, some genetically engineered microorganism.
Wow, I like that one. I would also say, if we can turn the CO2 directly into manufactured goods. I like CO2 to graphene, CO2 to fuel, and then we use that CO2 as carbon to build things. That's what I keep hoping for, because then we can just keep going. Yeah, because I don't trust them putting it underground. I just don't. I don't know, but I like capturing and building stuff, and we're gonna have to. You're right, without a doubt. It's like we're beyond that point by far. I guess you got a Bill McKibben here, though. We're gonna talk about you know, it is cheap. I like that the EIA has said solar is the cheapest energy in the history of the world. Or not the EIA, the IEA, the International Energy Administration. And the cheapest energy in the history of world is currently solar electricity. And they're going back to stuff like how much candles cost and how much house heating cost back in, you know, 10,000 years ago, how long it took to get the wood you needed. There are people who've done these analyses and they can show that nice chart. And even like a candle or a light bulb, you know, they were spending like $1 per kilowatt hour back in the year 1900, where candles were like 10 per kilowatt hour or something. There's very, people have broken down the numbers. Nowadays, solar is the cheapest electricity in Earth's history. And it's going to get a little bit cheaper, which is pretty cool. So we're going to do a lot of stuff. Just like, you know what? And we can't wait. We're not going to stop. We're not going to cut back. People who say we need to have fewer people on Earth and live with the land, that's too late, folks. We're now dependent on the machine, and the machine is us, and we are the machine, and we're not going back to the trees. The trees can't sustain 7.5 billion of us. That's we're going forward.
The beautiful statistic that Peter Kelly Detweiler gave on my interview with him is that as we double consumption of a technology, say solar panels or lithium ion batteries, as we double, then the price drops 25%.
Yep.
So that's a nice cost adoption curve. And that's why the cost of solar is 90% cheaper than it was 10 years ago. And it's going to continue to fall. We're going to continue to develop better technologies, but we already have the technology. We don't need to have a major breakthrough in solar PV, for example, right? We have the technology in wind and solar and lithium ion. Throw in some green hydrogen, right? Throw in some hydro, some artificial blowholes. Bring it on. So we have a lot of stories here, though, John, and
I'm not going to cover them all.
I would encourage you to pick and choose. Do you like this instant permits for Resi Solar?
I think my company, so my residential company, Whaling City Solar, we're building it so that it's a sort of a franchise model. And one of our logics is that we think we're going to expand into cities that have the instant solar permit software in place. And so I'm kind of fond of this. I sat in a few of the meetings with NREL, and it was really interesting to watch and listen, and they really seem like they're going to get the electrical side of it done quickly. The structural could still take a little bit, and state level documentation could still be a bit, but at least from a permit standpoint, this will move that faster. I will say this though, Resi permits, they cost us some time, but they're not in Massachusetts. They're not as bad as doing interconnection. And if we could speed up interconnection, that would help us a lot. We literally, the utility that I serve, that serves us, my home utility, their name is Eversource. They recently got outed as among a team of electric utilities who are coming together as a lobbyist group in what they've called a fight for their life as we push back against natural gas, against any fossils in Massachusetts. And this is a utility who, on one hand, is like, yeah, we want solar. We're going to help the solar program. And then on the other hand, they're like, yeah, let's undercut everything that isn't gas because we don't make money off that stuff. So, this permit software, if it can cut through these utilities that are doing their best to slow us down, that would be great. That'd be really great. I really want to see some national interconnection stuff going on, but I think I'm dreaming too much with that. But this is a good start. If this can slow down, if this can speed up permitting, sweet. Got a lot more work to do, but this wouldn't be bad. This is a good start.
So this is a long-standing initiative of NREL's, and I think there's many collaborators on this, but the goal is one-click residential solar permitting, so that, like in Australia, right, as you pointed out on the show several times, you can sign on the dotted line one day and have a solar array the next day, right? Bada bing, bada boom. None of this waiting around 3 weeks for a permit or 3 months. And it should be a very easy, seamless, fast process. And yeah, the consumer's taking some risk by putting a solar array on their home. They're taking some risk having electricity in their home, right? Things happen. Electrical panels burn houses down and cars catch fire every day. It should be no big deal that a Tesla killed 2 people in Texas, but all of a sudden the media is freaking out about full self-driving, right? I don't know why I went there, but permitting is critical. to making solar cheaper and more ubiquitous. So thank you, Canary Media, the new Green Tech Media with Emma Foringer, merchant at the helm there of this story. Thank you, Emma. And it's a cool photo too. I love the blur. Wish I could do that.
I like Canary. Eric Wessoff started Canary when he saw Green Tech being shut down. But Eric Wessoff is wrong a lot about Tesla because he's a Tesla hater. But
I want Eric to come on the show and tell us how wrong he is.
we might be able to get Eric. Might have to put a muzzle on me, or Eric. We'll start yelling at each other. I think Eric could fight though. He looks like a solidly built human. I used to work for him at PV Magazine for a little bit, so he's a good boss. He's mean, but he's honest.
So we got a story about lithium saturation to make old batteries new. We are
refreshing versus recycling.
Okay, what's the difference?
Recycling means you rip the thing apart, take all those mirror materials, and throw it back into the beginning of the machine. You got to break down everything. You got to get it all to dust and make it perfect again. Refreshing means you stick up, and I'm simplifying it because I don't know how it works, but you stick a hose in it, put it at a really high pressure, and you use 90% of the same structure, and you just squeeze more fresh lithium into it. So it's like an oil change, a tune-up versus a new car.
Yeah.
It's like going to the junkyard or something, just get a couple pieces. And they say in the article, they mention just slightly behind, right there, right at the top, demonstrated capacity, rate capability, and cyclability properties only slightly behind the brand new battery. So we don't even need to recycle them. We'll refresh them and then put them back out to the field.
Awesome. I want that.
Of course. It's got to stick a hose in it, right? It's going to be just as simple as that, just a hose. Of course, it's not that simple.
Batteries are the limiting factor. So I think there's a reason why Elon is talking about mining lithium, because he sees the writing on the wall that there is going to be a major battery shortage, and it's only those companies that are truly vertically integrated are going to survive the crunch, because it's going to be a major crunch.
It's starting right now.
Recycling and refurbishing could save the day.
Yep. I like it. I like, this is another reason why I need to shut my mouth sometimes. There are so many innovations that are going to come from this doubling that's going to occur. You mentioned it earlier with the solar panel doubling. Battery doubling is happening the same way. And things like this, refreshing lithium ion batteries. I mean, we're going to get batteries that, you have the original cost. This is going to be a profit center. Let's put it this way. Somebody's going to figure out how to refresh lithium ion batteries. They're going to take them out of a car. They're going to refresh them, and they're going to sell them at 99% of output. They're going to cost 10% of what a new battery costs, or 50%. And it's going to cost, and they're going to make like a huge margin because they're really good at doing something. And it's this type of innovation that sometimes makes me just get really humble and say, John, you don't know jack, and you might know some stuff, but don't know as much as you think. So just shut up and listen and watch, because it's going to keep happening. It's going to keep evolving, keep changing, and just watch and be quiet and listen to people's ideas. And this is just one of those things. And more are going to happen like this. Things are going to happen. They're going to have an outsized effect. None of us saw coming. It's just going to go bimp, and we're going to be like, oh, well, that just makes sense. It's like tons and tons of things. It's like, oh, look, the pencil. Oh, what a concept. Oh, writing. Holy crap. Oh, refurbishing batteries. Going to happen over and over again, and we're going to get surprised again, and we're going to be like, ooh, look at that. And bam, billions of dollars in value. This is going to be worth billions of dollars if this idea comes to fruition. Billions every year. It's going to save, it's going to make green tech happy. Not green tech, pardon me.
Canary.
Oh, well, Canary to make happy. Greenpeace. It'll make Greenpeace happy. We got to call Greenpeace. Make sure Greenpeace knows this. I mean, that's going to be a big idea, in my opinion. I think refreshing versus recycling is going to be huge, because recycling, we're worried about it. This would take a step out. What if we can refresh 50% of our batteries? That's just gonna speed things up a whole bunch.
So there's a carbon market in Europe.
And it's going up.
I didn't even know this.
And it's been going up a whole bunch.
And the price of carbon is going up. And presumably this market exists to incentivize big industry and power companies to decarbonize, right? Because if you're emitting carbon, then you're paying a tax on those emissions, because we're all paying a price. We're breathing the air. We're living the climate change that the carbon has created, et cetera, right? And we vastly undervalued the true cost of carbon in the atmosphere. And it's called an externalization in economics. And it's amazing how economists just wave their hands and go, oh yeah, it's an externalization. Well, there's a price. There's a price. And the earth is not infinite. I don't know that the economists have really grappled with that the earth is finite and the economy can't just grow forever. Only if we take over space. That's another reason to go to space, I guess, to keep the economists happy.
Well, yeah, I mean, for me going to space, well, there's two things there. One, going to space allows us to potentially mine nearly infinite amounts of stuff and maybe even manufacture it in space and remove some of that from the surface of the earth. And I like that concept because, we can get back 10, 20, 30% of our land. Maybe we'll even make food in space. But it also gives us a lot of space to grow. But I push back against, yes, the world isn't infinite. We don't have an infinite number of goods, but we do have quite a bit of evolving in how we use our goods. We will waste things up until we start to give it value. And like oil, we used to say there's going to be no more oil, but now we find the oil everywhere. And we're not going to run out of fossil fuels. What's that old saying? The Stone Age didn't end due to a lack of stones. Fossil age isn't going to end due to a lack of coal, lack of oil. It's going to be tools like this, carbon tax. Let me look that up. What's a $60 carbon tax to kWh? We're talking only a couple of cents. It's not a real big, carbon tax. There we go. $10 per ton is a penny per kilo. $40 ton with 30 cents and 2 cents to kilowatt hour electricity. Okay, so we're talking about 2.5, 3 cents per kilowatt hour is being added to this with $60. When we add that onto the cost of coal, which is already at like 5-6 cents in Europe, that starts to push it out of the market. These tools, if we could apply them in the US, that'd be neat. But these tools will help end that fossil stuff and will help us become like these, pie in the sky efficiency numbers from the economists. We just got to get more efficient. We got to recognize that the atmosphere is not a garbage dump, Timothy. It's the thing we put in our mouth every day.
So I'm so curious why carbon taxes are so unpopular in the United States. The Europeans are doing this, and it has a benefit of putting money in the pocket of government.
So that's it right there. That's the issue, Tim. We don't like to pay taxes here. Come on now.
Yeah.
Europeans, they're like, oh, look at that. Free healthcare. Shit
and
works.
Even some very smart friends of ours like Jigar Shah are anti-carbon tax. Staunchly so.
Surprised with him being anti-carbon tax. I would assume he would be. Yeah. I'm pro-carbon tax with two dynamics. One, similar to Washington State, all of the money that comes in needs to be poured directly into mitigation and cleaning our energy. Everything related to climate. If we're going to have a carbon tax, all the cash needs to be applied toward these things. And two, we cannot take the angle that right now is being pushed by some business-friendly groups that if we have a carbon tax, then we have no other emissions regulations. Fundamentally disagree with that. The Europeans have not said, oh, carbon tax, now you can pollute all you want. No, they haven't, because they got common sense. That's what right-wingers are trying to do. They're trying to say, okay, we'll give you a 2 cent per kilowatt hour, but no more regulations, no more this, no more that. And I fundamentally disagree with that adder. So if you want a carbon tax, pure carbon tax, cash goes to pay for mitigation and deploying new clean energy tech. That's it. So if we could do that, I would vote for it.
Okay, we're going to cover the last story of the day, and that is that LONGi, the world's largest solar panel manufacturer, sets a TopCon sell record of 25%. And this is related to the discussion we had about Meyer Burger, of course. It's curious that LONGi is so long on TopCon when Meyer Burger has pretty much put a nail in the coffin of TopCon.
Well, I would argue that LONGi is long on everything. They're a broad company with many manufacturing lines, with many technologies, and they're going to continually and slowly, incrementally upgrade their facilities. I wouldn't be, I know for a fact that LONGi is working with research universities for perovskite, for tandem cells. So LONGi is conscious of this next tech. But LONGi today needs to sell 25 gigawatts of panels. And so it's not going to wait. And the super majority of the world is okay with it. Because, for instance, right now, this product, this 25% cell, is the highest efficiency retail cell available to the best of my knowledge. Now, this cell might not be available, but one from Jinko or Trina at like 24.9% is available. And it's very similar tech. So, the Trina Jinko panel is like a 23% efficient panel. That's more, to the best of my knowledge, than the SunPower Maxion high-end stuff, or it's right next to it. And this is coming from a high-end cheap manufacturer. So TopCon isn't bad. It's still the best product you can buy right now. It's just that it's going to get passed. And I have a feeling LONGi is going to move with them. And just because they're an evolving company. They're smart.
They found a great acronym, at least. And if you want to impress your mom, ask her what is TopCon and then explain to her that that's tunnel oxide passivated contact, which just sounds super cool. But yeah, we need that. We need a TopCon acronym for the hybrid tech that's coming with perovskites.
Perovskite tandem. So there's tandem, there's perovsilicon. Yeah. You got to come up with. I'm not that creative for that type of stuff. I have to type it into a computer 50 different times and then say them out loud. And one of them will be like, "Oh, that's cool." That'd be my mom.
Maybe it'll be something like hyper.
Sure.
Hybrid perovskite.
Okay. Like, see,
I should probably trademark that now.
But then you got to defend it, and defending a trademark costs some money. So, yeah.
Well, I have plenty of friends that have money, so I'm good there.
Hey, buddy.
You're going to be one of them, John, because
absolutely working on it.
You're growing a solar company, man.
Trying my best. Trying to keep up. So are you kicking me off the show already? Is this it? It's already done for the week?
Yeah, I have to do something really special.
What are you doing?
I am working on our submission to the Solar Power World top contractors list.
Oh,
there's
sweet.
There's an annual list.
Yep.
And we have to submit a list of projects from last year. So I got to keep banging that drum. I'm also putting together a workshop, a full day workshop on community solar for a organization called Half Moon that provides training to architects and engineers. So, yeah, I got my hands full.
That sounds neat.
How?
I've always wanted to be on that list of theirs. I know it takes a little work and you got to show off real projects, but it'd just be kind of neat to be on that list because I show that list to people all the time.
Yeah.
So I think it's neat.
Oh, it's a cool list. If you don't know about that list, just Google it. Solar Power World Top Contractors. And it's a good way to find developers, EPCs, installers across the board. And they do state by state lists also in the bigger markets like Massachusetts, like Illinois, like New York. So, how can our listeners find you, Mr. Commercial Solar Guy?
Well, if they're really motivated, they could drive to New Bedford, Massachusetts, and then I could feed them some local chowder. Maybe we could have some fish and some beer, or they could Google commercial solar guy, and I'm all over. We got a website, we got a Twitter account, we got a LinkedIn, and we'll build some solar in the Northeast. We'll develop some solar. We'll consult for you, all kinds of different things.
Very good. John is very active on Twitter, so I encourage you to check out his Twitter feed also. And I will just type in my URL. You can find me, Tim Montague, at cesnrg.com/podcast. And all of the Clean Power Hour episodes are there. We referred to episode 43, which was our interview with the Meyer Burger CEO and the President of the Americas, Artis Johnson, and Mr. Erfurt, right? is the CEO.
Yep.
So check that out. And that was a fun interview. But you can see here we're covering all kinds of cool stuff like HVDC. That's a real thing. Underwater HVDC cables for thousands of miles. And John and I predict that we will one day just span the globe with a network of undersea cables, and it'll be done. The transition will be over. And we celebrated Earth Day by talking about Elon Musk winning the contract to take NASA to the moon, and so much more good news. And then I'm also bringing you interviews with solar thought leaders like David Loomis, who has written numerous papers on the economics of utility scale wind and solar. He now has a paper out on Path to 100, which is legislation we have brewing here in Illinois. But he references many other regions, and the beauty of that is it's past, present, and future, and he uses real data from the past and the real economic benefits of wind and solar. So check that out. And then people like Mark Kleingana and Mr. Rodriguez talking about grid interactive buildings. So lots of cool topics at the Solar Podcast and the Clean Power Hour. I want to thank you, John, for being my co-host and being here week in and week out and slogging through. So thank you so much. Let's grow solar and storage.